Okay, so I pitched this idea to Mariah, who's standing right there. Mariah, come say hi.
Hi.
Come say hi. Come over here and say hey. Mariah says hello.
Hello, everyone.
What's up? Come sit down on...
Why am I...
I don't know. Well, I don't know if there's any room for you to sit. Hold on a second.
So,
Okay. There we go. I think this works. Okay, now we have to refocus the camera. Maybe? Hopefully? Okay, hopefully the camera's refocused. Okay, I pitched this idea to Mariah. Mariah said that I should be on the team for Marvel that makes these movies. Avengers Endgame. The biggest problem the movie has. Okay. Here's the biggest problem that Avengers Endgame has, is it creates a paradox. And this paradox doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? So the way the movie played out was like this. So you had the events of Infinity War, where over the course of however long it took him to do it, Thanos captured the Infinity Stones. And then when Thanos finally captured the Infinity Stones, he initiated the snap, right? And that wipes out half the life of the universe. That picks up with Avengers Endgame, which, as most people know, progresses the way it does, but it's basically an attempt, a time heist, as Scott Lang called it, to capture the Infinity Stones, bring them back to the present day, and then use them to undo the snap. And it was going to be as simple as that, right? Like, we bring them back to the present day, we undo the snap, then we take them back to the past, to each of the individual locations. So they basically reappear the instant they vanish, so there's no disruption to the timeline. It doesn't play out that way. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? Like what is it? Murphy's Law. I think it's Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law, Hanlon's razor, Occam's razor. Occam's razor is that the simplest explanation tends to be the best one. I think it's Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. So, because of that, it creates paradoxes. Notably and namely, Thanos and Nebula. Because during the movie, Professor Hulk said the timeline can't be changed, right? Like, it's fixed, it's absolute, you can never change it. All it does is create alternate realities, but they can't go back into the past, undo something, and then it would have a ripple effect that would change the future. And so because of that, if that's an absolute statement, and then the way the movie ends, and you guys are right in saying there is no alternate reality. I say they're living in an alternate reality, but assuming that you guys are absolutely right, and they're not in an alternate reality, they're still in the main Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's only one way to make that work. Now, here's the cool thing about this, all right? Here's the cool thing about this, all right? So, honestly, I would have done the second half of the movie completely different, because here's the paradox that you run into. If they go back into the past, they start capturing the Infinity Stones, and then Thanos realizes what they're doing, and then he basically travels to like the events of Endgame, basically when Endgame takes place. So the present day, we can call it that. Travels to the present day, and then like ultimately he's killed. Then the question becomes, if Thanos died technically before he could have captured the Infinity Stones in the first place and initiated the snap, then what reason would the Avengers have to go back in time and stop a snap that never happened? And so because of that, like, you run into a paradox. It's like, okay, they're basically trying to stop an event that never took place, but they're traveling into the past, which means the event took place, but the event didn't take place because the guy who initiated it died before it could happen. So you start running into all these different problems. So then you also have Nebula. Nebula's past self dies, which begs the question, how could she exist in the future if she was dead in the past? So what I would have done is I would have gone back and I would have said, okay, so I would have had like all the events take place that ran up to like the final battle, right? And then it would have been like, okay, so like we killed Thanos, surely this fixes everything. And then like Doctor Strange shows up or something like that, and it's like, wrong answer, and it's like, you guys screwed up. So basically you have like this, I don't know, maybe extra 15 minutes, right? Because the movie was already 3.5 hours long anyway. What the hell is 15 minutes going to do to hurt anybody? The credits are that long. People were just sitting, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, they didn't have any post-credit scenes, so it's not like you were waiting through all those for something in particular. So what you would do is, or at least what I would do, is I would say, okay, for that 15 minutes, they keep going into the past. And it's like, this is attempt number 872. And we went out into space and we grabbed Captain Marvel and we brought her back and she fought Thanos early and killed him, and it didn't work. Like, this is attempt number 926. And we told Thor, aim for the head, and it still didn't work. The timeline still, like the snap still happened. There's no way for us to stop the snap. And then somebody said, like Scott Lang or somebody makes an offhanded remark, and it's like, we could just let it play out. And they do. Like, they say, okay, fine, we'll let that happen. So it runs all the way up. And the one thing, because Doctor Strange said in Infinity War, of all the different possibilities, 14 million some odd possibilities, only one worked. And the only one that worked was the one where they let Thanos live. Because in every single circumstance, they killed Thanos. In every single timeline, they killed Thanos, right? Anywhere along the line, Thor aimed for the head, Captain Marvel showed up and beat him to death, like, and in all these different unfortunate circumstances, Doctor Strange like killed him, whatever it is, like they killed Thanos in all these different alternate realities. The only way they could win and keep the timeline intact was when Iron Man initiated the snap that killed Thanos' forces, that he actually just sent him back to the past. And like, that's it. And the timeline's intact. Everything stays intact. The timeline stays as a regular timeline. There's no paradoxes, none of that stuff. I would have stopped. I would not have had Nebula killed. I would not have thrown that in there. I would have just said like she was just beaten up really bad, like knocked unconscious by Gamora or something. But I would not have had like present day Nebula kill past Nebula. But they basically just sent Thanos back to the past, because the only way Thanos was able to get to the events of Endgame anyway is because they stole the time travel device. They stole the Pym particles and the time travel device so they could shrink down small enough to make it, to get into the quantum realm and then basically like grow back in size again and then unleash all of its forces on the world. So you basically say, okay, so basically like you go back and like you send him back to the past. But even if that happens, say for example that like you don't take away his time travel and you don't take away the ability for him to gain Pym particles, it doesn't matter because the timeline's still saved, right? Like it's a loop and it always plays out the same way. It always plays out that the snap happens, the Avengers recoup, they go back into the past, they steal the Infinity Stones, Thanos figures out what they're doing, Thanos follows them to the present, the Avengers basically like send him back to the past and the day's saved every single time, and it keeps the timeline intact. It keeps it as a singular timeline. I really should be working for Marvel.
So they essentially just Dormammu Thanos.
They Dormammu Thanos, yeah.
And yeah.
Iron Man has come to bargain.
Come to bargain.
Have come to bargain.
For the 14 millionth time.
Yes. But no, they run through 14 million scenarios. Like what is it? Like Hela? They grab Hela kills Thanos, like Surtur kills Thanos, all the things we wanted to see, like all the what if questions people have. What if Surtur fought Thanos? Yeah. What if Hela fought Thanos, right? Like New Rockstars has that video where it's like, why did Thanos wait so long? Like you literally answer all those questions in that movie, in that time sequence, and like every last one of them fail to save the timeline. The only one that does is Iron Man saves Thanos. And it's cool because it's symbolic in the sense that it's like, hey, so like we're Marvel Studios and we finally learned our lesson and we're not killing all the villains all the time so we can use them later. Like you fix that problem.
But the problem is there's nothing indicating that he's actually still alive because he dusted away.
Yeah, he dusted. But that's what I'm saying. Like I would have done that. Like instead of dusting him and killing him like they did in the movie, I would have ended it so that basically Thanos lives. And like they just send him back to the past. So you can reuse him again and all that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, you can reuse him insofar as like you can yank him out of the time stream, but technically now he's stuck in a loop. Like he'll always travel to the events of Endgame. He'll always be sent back to the past. So he'll basically never get past the events of Endgame. He'll be stuck in that loop for eternity. Yeah, but it puts him on the back burner because then they can like be like, we need Thanos, and like just use the time stone, snatch him out of the time loop, and then throw him into a future event or something like that. But
10 years several X-Men and Fantastic Four later, Thanos comes out.
Thanos comes back. Yeah, he comes out of the time loop. Something. Tell me you would watch that movie.
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Thanos versus the Fantastic Four, the new Avengers and the X-Men.
That would actually be pretty cool.
That'd be beast. Yeah, that'd be pretty amazing. Just wreck them all.
But then it would feel like Iron Man died for nothing. Because he went and did all that, and then like he ends up anyway doing the same shit.
I mean, like, basically, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay, no. Iron Man didn't die for anything. Iron Man died so that his contract could be over. His contract could be ended. That's why Iron Man died, so his contract could be done.
No. Robert Downey Jr. died, so that his contract could be over. Tony Stark died to save the world.
Yes, he did. He died to save the world. Saddest point in the movie. The saddest point in the whole movie. It was like when Mufasa died. There was not a dry eye in that whole.
That was the saddest. Like, I was surprised you didn't cry. I was kind of sad.
I shed a little tear.
I was like, oh.
I was like the Indian from the nature commercials where like they're littering and like the Indian turns around, looks at the camera, and like a tear runs down his cheek. Like I was that guy. Like that was that's what I did. Caitlin was crying. Folks in the back of the theater were crying.
Yeah, there was growing.
I'm surprised you weren't crying.
There. I got a little emotional. It wasn't when he died that I got sad. It was when like his daughter was just sitting there watching him like his hologram, and was like just sitting there watching her dad like, oh. Mm-hmm. It was kind of sad. It was pretty damn sad. Yeah, the last one testament of Iron Man. Bring him back as an AI. That's what I say. Have him pop up every once in a while. So he'll turn into Jarvis. Yeah, he'll be like Jarvis. Yeah, Jarvis 2.0. Tony Stark. It's just Tony Stark. Hello, sir. Anyway, guys, that's the biggest problem that we saw with Endgame and how like it should like really how it should have ended in a way that kept the time stream intact. But basically, as it stands now, there's no reason to believe it's not an alternate reality. I mean,
everything that we've been told in the movie basically says that it is. So I don't know, but it's kind of cool. But with that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like. You got to do the thumbs like. And we will catch you all later. Peace.